Okay, guys. So this book, I think, might have broken a record for how many times a Minotaur could have been jerked off in a book.
Human females are out of control. With the rise of BookTok, the sect of TikTok devoted to reading as loudly as humanly possible, spicy romance novels have begun to spread like wildfires. They're everywhere. This isn't the romance lit of yesteryear. Honestly, grandma's stuff was tame in comparison. It appears human sexual fantasy has evolved beyond the constraints of its own species, and now the females of BookTok are getting off to eldritch horrors. Gone are the days of chiseled Fabios gracing the covers of dollar store smut. Now it's orcs, vampires, and minotaurs who are more bull than man. Now, smut isn't new. Humans have been telling each other their horniest thoughts since they diverged from the Homo erectus. They began writing them down as soon as they learned to chisel stone. But this is different. Not only is today's erotica freakier, it's more popular than ever. A Court of Thorns and Roses, Fourth Wing, Haunting Adeline. All of these are novels about humans falling in love with non-humans, and all of which follow the same general premise. A young woman, smart, pretty, down on her luck, is forced by external factors to spend time with an inhuman being. She is unhappy about it, seeing as the inhuman being is innately dangerous, commanding and powerful, and oftentimes morally gray. But ultimately, because he has a soft spot for her, she falls in love. Women. Formulaic though it is, it sells, and I'm told it's human nature to gravitate towards predictability. They seem to find it comforting. Of all the titles, none capture the casual vulgarity of this new wave of erotica, quite like Morning Glory Milking Farm. Your first hint is the word milking, that the focus of this farm isn't milk, or even dairy, but the very process of milking. Also, it isn't milk, it's cum. We start our journey by meeting Violet, a smart, pretty, down on her luck girl, whose poor life choice of pursuing a master's degree rendered her in financial ruin. So when she finds a job listing for Morning Glory Milking Farm that describes the job as full-time, full benefits, flexible hours, and no experience needed, she jumps at the opportunity. We also learn that her world is inhabited by a variety of monsters living alongside the human population. Essentially, the human male population of her world consumes little blue boner pills for their peepees. And the key ingredient is Minotaur sperm. So, her job at the farm is to crank off these Minotaurs crazy style. Violet starts off uncomfortable but desperate, treating it like any other job. Despite its nature, the work culture is clinical, bureaucratic, and cold. Then she meets Rourke, a Minotaur who becomes one of her regulars. He's polite, soft-spoken, and hung. Their professional relationship turns into small talk, then flirtation, then inevitably romance. Eventually, Violet realizes she's not just milking cows for cash. She's found meaning, confidence, and stability. In a world where she's felt invisible, Rourke sees her. It's an earnest love story, part Beauty and the Beast, part capitalist critique, part erotic fever dream. It's absurd, sure, but genuinely tender. That said, on Earth where the author of this story lives, there are indeed places that males go to donate and sell their sperm. Though in stark contrast to the novel, it's a private ordeal. No milkers, no specialists. There's something a little bewildering about the notion that these creatures who live alongside humans as society and who themselves have hands and opposable thumbs are getting their hogs torqued by so-called experts such as Violet. In the world of Morning Glory Milking Farm, the farm states that the aim is a plentiful, speedy collection, and they claim to have loads of research on technique to ensure maximum efficiency. So, that should explain it, right? It appears in these novels, horniness does much of the heavy lifting when it comes to suspension of disbelief. In this book, society looks a lot like Western Earthling society, except monsters living alongside humans. Also, there's a multi-billion-dollar industry propped up entirely by giving bull men handjobs. But it's hot, so it works, and it sells. Humans love to read this stuff, and it's obvious why they do. It speaks to their basic biological desires. But why Minotaurs, you ask? Well, the vast majority of this genre's leadership are female, obviously, and arguably, a big reason why all this monster stuff works so well with them is because it plays with and distorts traditional power dynamics. Real-world romance is all too often a dangerous landscape for women, and these creatures personify that danger. But instead of inflicting genuine harm on our protagonist, they protect them. They're good to them. The subtextual basis of these fantasies is a want for shelter in an inherently perilous world. With the immense popularity of erotic fiction on BookTok, these novels are openly talked about to millions of viewers. They're given honest reviews, they're celebrated. I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying a book, but it does sort of beg the question, have you no shame? Oh, you just have to read this book. I've never come so hard in my life. Kind of weird, no? Just some horny little shits shouting in the modern equivalent of a town square about how horny they are? Call me a prude, but where I'm from, people don't really announce that sort of thing. In fact, people don't have sex there. At least not in the way you're thinking. The internet, ultimately, is the great homogenization of culture, rendering something once multifaceted and vibrant a bland beige pot of mush. But it's connected people, and readers and writers alike have capitalized on the proximity of like-minded people. Since reading is considered highbrow, it becomes a status symbol for the pseudo-intellectual. As long as people see me read, they'll think I'm smart. Yeah, maybe. Maybe if you read enough books on the internet, you'll get that chip off your shoulder. Maybe you'll find peace. In the end, these people have found each other on BookTok, and many of them are simply people who enjoy literature. But it's also allowed the real freaks out there to connect, to share their voices, opinions, to talk openly about their interests. It's a spectacle to behold the masses embrace such vulgarity. But ultimately, as far as I can tell, they're only doing what's in their nature. Humans are freaks. Good luck!